hitter fantasy score for PrizePicks and PrizePicks only. Outlier has a section just for fantasy hitter and fantasy pitchers for PrizePicks only. These plays are for PrizePicks only. The hitter fantasy score comprised of a little list that I'll show here on the screen so you can see what the hidden fantasy score chart looks like. So with that said, when we go into Outlier, you can see that I have Juan Soto here, and his hitter fantasy score is at 8.5. But all you see is historical data. You don't see any matchup data and any other historical data except last 5, 10, 20 head to head. But on the side here, you can look and see if he has any history against the pitcher who's going to be starting for that day. If you're a first-time depositor on PrizePicks, use the code you see down below. Get the bonuses so I can get me some. Let's get started. Juan Soto's fantasy score is at 8.5. Look at what he's done in the last 10 games. That's the last 10 games. It's hitting at 70%. Last 5 games at 60%. And as you can see, the last 2 games he went over easily. I really wish they would show the box score. I'm gonna send that in to them, see if they can show the box score. Like when you see, like when we're in the NBA and I'm looking at points or points, rebounds, and assists, I can continue scrolling to see how many attempts he took, how many shots he made, etc. Anyway, last 5 games hitting at 60%. You saw what he did in these 2. So we're going over on Juan Soto's 8.5 hitter fantasy score. The next player is Ryan Mountcastle. Ryan Mountcastle's line is set at 7. And this is what he's done in the last 5 games. This is the last 10 games. And I don't see, he has head to head. He went under. This was last season. And then I'll go to see if he has any history against Mitchell Parker. Wait, is it Mitchell Parker? Yes. Versus Mitchell Parker since 2018, no one has any history. Versus left-handed pitchers this year, let's go down to Mountcastle, and he's batting .311 with .958. Ooh, we're thinking about going under here. But see, pitchers and batters are all about matchups. We have no history versus Mitchell Parker, but versus left-handed pitchers this season, Ryan Mountcastle is going off. We're going to switch this and take him over. Ryan Mountcastle over 7 hitter fantasy score. Ke'Bryan Hayes scores at 6.5. I'm looking to take his under. Look at the last 10 games. The under is hitting at 80%. Last 5 games at 80%. Let's look and see who he's matched up against. Jose Soriano is on the mound, and then against right-handed pitchers this season, he's been down. But versus Jose Soriano, he has 0 history. We're going under 6.5 fantasy score for Ke'Bryan Hayes. Next is Shohei Ohtani. His line is at 9.5. Look at what he's done in the last 5 games. 31, 36, 24, 21. I don't care what pitchers he's playing against. This is in the last 10 games. The over is hitting at 60%. I will go see versus right-handed pitchers. Hold on. Versus right-handed pitchers, where is Ohtani? He should be cleaning up. Right versus right-handed pitchers, he's not doing too well. He's not doing crazy well. I mean, he's batting .329 versus right-handed pitchers. Does he have any history? He does. He had 2 at-bats, no hits. I'm still going over Shohei Ohtani 9.5 fantasy score. And then we have Jung Hoo Lee. Jung Hoo Lee scores at, his line is at 7.5. I'm looking to take the under here, as the under has hit in 90% of his last 10 games. Versus Colorado, who they do play again. He went off. He had 11, but he's facing Peter. Who are they facing? Peter Lambert. Let's see if he has any history against him. This is Jung Hoo Lee. He's at the bottom. He has no history against Peter Lambert, a batter that hasn't faced the pitcher, in my opinion, advantage pitcher. Does it go that way? Because if a batter never faced you, you could give him whatever you want. You know what I mean? But I'm going under Jung Hoo Lee, 7.5 fantasy score. The last one is Julio Rodriguez. His line is set at 7. This is what he's done in the last 10 games. The under is hitting at 80%. Let's look at the last 5. Also at 80%. Obviously, he went off against Minnesota. They played Minnesota again. Let's see if he has any history versus Chris Paddock. This is Julio, right? He has 0 history versus him, but versus right-handed pitchers this season, Julio Rodriguez is batting .240, with an OPS of 583. He has a really high strikeout percentage at 29.5 as well. So I'm taking it over. I'm taking under 7 on Julio Rodriguez hitter fantasy score. This has to be the most interesting new item for me to go over. I should have said this in the beginning, but don't tell my plays. Don't tell these plays. I'm following data and I am documenting everything that I do for the whole year of 2024. So at the end of each month, each week, and especially at the end of the year and quarters, 3 months, 6 months, etc., I'm looking at my data or the stats and then going back and making the necessary changes depending on what time of the season we're in and what season we're actually in, NBA, MLB, NFL, what have you. With that said, you already know. Let's get this dough.